Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to give some people a couple of minutes to maybe get into the live Q&A here, and then we'll get started. If you have any questions, feel free to queue them up in the chat function that's at the bottom of your screen, and we'll get started in a moment. Um, Okay, so how about we all get started, and as people come in, we'll let them in. Uh, Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah. I am a marketing coordinator here at BC Greenhouse Builders, and I am so happy to be kind of your host today. I will be here to kind of relay your questions to the team. And with that note, here is our team. We have Kyle Exner, our general manager, Jennifer Ilner, one of our senior greenhouse experts at BC Greenhouse Builders, Wayne Price, our sales manager over here at BC Greenhouse Builders, Daniel Jackson, who is our greenhouse expert at Charlie's Greenhouse and Garden Supplies. And then to help me with your questions, we have Angela Drake, who's our director of marketing. And we want this mainly to be a focus on you and your questions. So feel free to tee them up. Let us know. If you would like to actually say your question out loud, feel free to raise your hand through one of the reaction buttons down the bottom, and we can cue you up to say your question. We also do have our sale going on too. So if you have any questions specifically about that or greenhouses overall, we're just here to help. Okay, let's get started with a question that we had through email. What are some of the options that you have for frames and what makes them different?
Jennifer, do you want to start
I
with
can
that?
answer that one. So we have a variety of frame options available. So we offer our cross-country frame system. This is really great for backyard growing. These kits are DIY, so they're easy to assemble, and we offer instruction manuals with these greenhouses. If you're looking for more of a living space, we also offer our Meridian line. So these structures are thermally improved and watertight solutions, making them really great if you plan on using it more as a living space.
Um, Thanks, Jen. All right. The next question I have is from Mona. She actually has been working with you, Jen, and her biggest fear is building the greenhouse overall. Do you guys have any advice?
Yes, so one of the things we can look into is if there are any installers nearby. We can also provide factory installation services if that's not an option. Now, saying this, if you worked with a contractor, we do provide installation manuals with all of our greenhouses. They're very straightforward to follow. And then we have a technical support team that can assist with any questions that may come up over the phone or by email. I'll reach out after the call today, Mona, and we can go over some of these options together.
Um, Great. Another question that we got in through email earlier is what sort of glazing options would you recommend for roofs in a snowy area?
Yeah. Oh, Dan, you want to tackle
Oh,
that?
yeah, sure. Well, in a snowy area, you could definitely get away with glass or polycarbonate. There really is no wrong answer there. That said, depending on where you're planning on placing your greenhouse, if it's going to be attached and there's going to be potentially snow or ice falling off of your roof, or maybe things falling off of a tree or limbs like that, polycarbonate will be a superior glazing option. It will be more durable. Although our glass is tempered, it is still glass, right? So, unless you're uh, not really too concerned about that, placing your greenhouse under a tree or something that may hit it on the roof. If you're in an area with lots of hail frequently, I would definitely recommend polycarbonate. But again, our glass is tempered, so it is incredibly strong, and it's usually not an issue.
And just to add a little, thanks, Daniel. Just to add a little bit to that too, depending on your snow loads in your areas, we can design our greenhouses to improve the infrastructure to hold any higher snow loads. So it's never an issue in respect to what our greenhouses can actually hold as snow. So yeah, it's just all dependent on that. But we can add reinforcements, extra trusses, extra purlin supports for the roof, that type of thing that we can add for higher snow loads. So. Again, that's never an issue, and it's never an issue to pass any permitting for your city.
Great, thanks, guys. So the next question I have is um, from Brian. He says, I want to buy a greenhouse, but I think I need a landscape company out here to level the foundation, lay down cement or gravel, and then hire a contractor to install, which sounds like it could be more expensive than the greenhouse itself. Do you guys have any recommendations based off of uh, what might be a good fit for him as an alternative, or to kind of talk about the pricing there?
Yeah, I can answer that. Oh, you're in Orange
Oh,
County. Thanks,
yeah.
Brian. That was going to be my first question as well. So we do have around the U.S. and Canada as well installers that we have used in the past that can install our greenhouses depending on the area that you're at. I think Jennifer mentioned earlier too. We can send installers out from here if that's the case. Now, when it comes to landscaping, we would have to talk to our installers around that area if they're into doing the landscaping as well. But leveling and doing foundations is again another topic we would have to bring up with those installers. In most cases, you could find local contractors that deal with foundations that specialize in that, and in most cases, they will clear your ground, level it off, and put in your foundation for you.
Um, Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, no, I thanks, Wayne. That's it. I love also Brian, you mentioning a landscape company. So in a lot of cases, if you're doing a smaller backyard greenhouse and you want to do a more simple foundation, because price can be a factor, a landscape contractor, a landscaping company can probably do a more basic foundation, being gravel and pressure treated 4x4s or hardwood like a cedar 4x4s. They could do it probably a lot more reasonably than actually a building like a construction company would. So that is right up in landscape companies, usually in their wheelhouse. And then when it comes to installing, again, if it's more of like a backyard, more hobby greenhouse, 8x12 or smaller, then for sure it can be done by local handy people or homeowners. But if it's going to be bigger or if it's more of an estate greenhouse, then going back to Wayne, like having a professional installation and a concrete, more of a concrete foundation for something that's going to be bigger, more elaborate, more of an estate situation, then yes, it may not be two times the price of the greenhouse, but sometimes these projects, when you start adding in say electricity, gas, water, the foundation, and a landscaping, the extra landscaping you want to do around the greenhouse, it can definitely make the whole project be, up to twice as much as the greenhouse may cost itself. But it just depends on really how far you want to go with it, and if it's going to be a permanent addition to your home.
Yeah, if I
Great.
may just add one thing, which again I think Kyle mentioned anyway, is that a smaller greenhouse, 8x12 or even a little bit larger, you can definitely get away with pressure treated wood as a foundation. You don't necessarily need to pour concrete like a pad or really to do concrete footers even. What we would recommend is in California or something like that. You don't have to go as deep, but you would have to go down to your frost line. That's what we'd recommend. But you could use sonotubes, and basically in strategic points, you're going to pour cylindrical concrete form in there, which you would then attach your pressure treated wood or timbers to, and then you could build on that. And that usually is the most affordable way to get a somewhat permanent foundation.
Perfect. All right. On to the next question. I Pat has asked, how long does polycarbonate last, and how does light transmission degrade over time, comparing this to glass?
Oh, I
I'm
think you're an
happy.
expert in that, aren't you? Jennifer, Kyle.
Can answer that one. So with the polycarbonate, it's not going to degrade more than 10% over 10 years. So it does come with a 10-year warranty. But in a lot of cases, it lasts significantly longer than that. Unless you live in a really high elevation or in a place where you get a lot of sunlight, it can last, anywhere from 15 to 20 years, if not longer, as long as it's properly maintained.
And of course, we do have a UV inhibitor on both sides of our polycarbonate, which really extends the life. I frequently see people getting 20 to 30 years out of their polycarbonate before they replace it.
Like
So,
that's absolutely
sorry,
right.
I keep interrupting you guys. Keep going.
High, like Jen says, high altitude. If you're in a high altitude in New Mexico, then that 6% degradation over 10 years is actually what you could expect. That would be likely. But if you're Pacific Northwest or any place that gets lots of clouds, like Jen saying, and Daniel saying, it's going to be 20 to 30 years. And it remains pliable. Relative to glass, though, like I would say that our twin wall polycarbonate has a 82% visible light transmission, which is great, but it does degrade off of that. Glass, like a single pane glass, weighs at like 85 to 90%, and it won't degrade at all because it's glass. So that just gives you an idea. Yeah, there is no risk of glass degrading at all. You just have to wash it. But also the polycarbonate, yeah, you may want to consider replacing it in 20 or so years, depending on where you live, but not 10 years.
And to add to that, a 3 millimeter lap glass is the same price as our twin wall polycarbonate. So either way you go on that, you're going to get the same price. But as Kyle said, glass definitely, unless you break it, it's going to last a lot longer.
Generations.
Perfect. All right. The next question I have is, I live in North Carolina mountains where it can get into the 20s Fahrenheit in the winter and 90s Fahrenheit in the summer. Would I need a heater in the winter? I plan on keeping plants in the greenhouse over the winter.
Happy to jump on that. Yeah, so depending on what your goals are, we would recommend one glazing type over the other. And so for sure, if you're trying to maintain, say, 70 degrees when it's 32 degrees outside, you will absolutely need a heater. If your goal is more to start your season early and go a little bit later, extend your seasons and overwinter some sensitive plants or perennials, you really won't need to heat the greenhouse at all. That said, I'm familiar with the East Coast, and so I do understand that heat is also a factor. You will probably require a shade cloth, and ventilation will be important. So those are some things to consider.
Yeah, and just to follow up, the next part of that question is what kind of electrical outlets would I need, and would I need to hire an electrician to install them? Both would be required, especially if you are going to put some sort of heating in there. If it's a 110 volt, you'll be definitely needing some outlets for that, as well as lighting or anything like that that you want to put in the greenhouse. You definitely would need to get it wired up. And yes, 100% would always recommend a certified electrician to do so.
Yeah, definitely want the GFCI outlets, right? Something that's rated for getting wet, so that you don't want to get those outlets wet.
The size of the greenhouse would determine whether it's 110 volt or 240 volt. So if you're calling and talking to one of our greenhouse experts, they would look at what the size of the greenhouse is. They would give recommendations based on what the glazing information we recommend, which is basically the insulating value of the greenhouse. And then knowing that you're getting down to the 20s, and like Daniel says, do you want to keep it in the 30s or low 30s, or do you want to keep it at 70? Then we would help size out what heater that is, like how many kilowatts of electricity you need if you're going with electrical. And then in a lot of cases, it might just be 110 volt, 1500 watt plug in your wall heater. So super basic, a small basic greenhouse heater. But if it's going to be a larger greenhouse and you're going to be doing more in it, then it may be a 240 volt, and then it's going to be a larger heater, a bit more electrical up front, but also a very efficient heater.
Perfect. Okay. I have a question that came in to our Instagram earlier this week. How do you get rid of water spots on glass if you're on well water?
I can help answer that question. So to help get rid of water spots, you could try using vinegar to wash the glass.
Even if they're on the roof, what would your recommendation be then?
Still using vinegar, that's going to help with hard water stains.
Possibly a soft wash. They do make things that you could buy at Home Depot, even that would attach to a hose, that are meant to clean glass with a white chemical mixture, and that may also work for something like that.
Awesome. All right, I have another question from someone in the chat here. I currently have I currently have two wall small greenhouses with a small fan, and condensation and is sometimes an issue. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. What wall roof material would minimize condensation?
Can I jump on condensation? Okay. I've had to answer condensation questions a lot over the years. The actual glazing won't make too big of a difference. I know that the polycarbonate panels has a not an anti-fog, but it spreads the condensation across, so it won't create droplets to drip on your plants. So polycarbonate is always a great option. But the best thing to do is try and control that condensation. And so if you have a bit of a wet greenhouse to start with and you're trying to dry it out, then I would suggest adding a bit of heat. So a small heater to the greenhouse and some air circulation, a small circulating fan in the greenhouse. Have that going. And then if you are seeing condensation in the mornings in your greenhouse, say in fall, winter, or spring, go in the mornings and dry it out with a towel, and you try and get your greenhouse to be dry, take some of that moisture out of it. And then between the heater and the fan, it should help keep a dry greenhouse dry. Having a bit of condensation just form on the panels isn't a big deal at all, but having so much condensation that it's dripping on the plants is a problem. So you want to control that. So you want to try and get to a point where you can maintain keeping a dry greenhouse dry with between a fan and a heater. And if you're in the Pacific Northwest, like you say you are, it can get very, very soupy in your yard. If you're in a low point in the yard that gets a lot of moisture, you can be fighting a losing battle where you'll just have water draining down into underneath your foundation. And if that's the case, trying to dry it out the way I'm describing may not work well for you. So if this is a new greenhouse, I would suggest as you're putting your foundation in, of course, if it's concrete, no problem, you solve that problem. But if it's going to be gravel, putting an impermeable weed screen down, like that black plastic, landscape plastic that you can get from a hardware store, putting that down would help prevent some of that ground moisture from coming up. If your greenhouse is already in place and you have that problem, then you may have to take some of that gravel and paving stones out, put that impermeable plastic barrier down, and then put the gravel and paving stones back. And that will keep a lot of that ground moisture from coming in. So usually when we have customers calling us up with a condensation problem, it is usually because they've installed their greenhouse recently in fall and right before the rainy season, and they've put it on top of wet ground, and they just have to work that moisture out of the greenhouse. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, if you have a chronic problem, you have to put that barrier down.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. All right, we've had a couple of new people be added into our group here. So just to let you guys know, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in our chat here. You can message me directly as well if you don't want it in the group chat. But yeah, we'll keep the ball rolling a bit. What is your best installation tip?
Where's Aaron? Is Aaron on the call now?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
So if you're doing the installation yourself, I'm just going to just speak up on that. Best installation tip is to follow the instructions right from the start properly. We do give an amazing instruction booklet, step by step, putting the greenhouse together. Following those instructions is crucial. We have lots of tips in there, do's and don'ts, and where you should seal or should not seal. If you follow those instructions, like I said, step by step, you shouldn't have any issues. But we always have a technical team here to back you up on any installs.
Of
I,
course, and we've also got, I'm sorry, Kyle, you want to go ahead?
no, I
I
was
was gonna
going to
say, of
say,
course, we've got really an incredible YouTube channel, which has got about 60 plus videos in the playlist, really going from unloading the crates in the truck to making sure you have a level and square foundation, putting really putting the glass in, installing the doors. Anytime you may hit a snag, I would definitely recommend calling your greenhouse expert, person who sold you the greenhouse. And we would normally, I'm happy to send you a link to any videos that may help, possible other resources that we may have here, and of course, connect you with our tech support team who they all know every extrusion inside and out. And yeah, for sure, we can walk you through any issues that you may have.
I would say our joke that we say when people are installing their own greenhouse, it takes one person who is really, really good at reading and following instructions, and another person who's really, really good at listening.
Awesome. Okay, guys, thanks. We have another one from Mona. How common is it that planning offices in specific municipalities require engineered drawings? If one of your standard units is bought, are those stamped drawings included?
I can answer that one. So engineered stamp drawings, it's going to vary depending on your planning department, but a lot of them do require engineered stamp drawings. This is something that's not included with the greenhouse, but it is a service we can provide. So you can take those drawings to your planning department and use those to obtain permits.
Okay, thanks, guys.
I would add the reason why
Go
it's
ahead.
yeah, sorry. The reason why it's not included is every building department has different loads that need to be adhered to. Also, as we custom build our greenhouses, if you've seen pictures, they have different door drops, different vents included, doors and sidewalls, different customization. So even our standard greenhouses are always modified one way or another, and it structurally changes the engineering. So if you do need that, that's why we can't just say, hey, this one greenhouse includes the engineer drawings. Every state is different, so that's and a province. So that's why it's not included.
Okay, great. What are some of the most common custom upgrades that you guys see with your customers? Anyone?
I can jump in on that.
Yeah, sure.
So the biggest ones are going to be items that help optimize your greenhouse space. So heating and ventilation accessories are going to be key. But also aesthetics. You definitely want a space that you can enjoy. So certain items such as the bridge cresting on top and the decorative pressure cap are also really popular add-ons. We do have a great list of accessories on our website with photos that shows what each of these items look like. And they're also listed as options on your quote, what we would recommend based on your greenhouse size and design.
If I could jump in real quick, I'll say also, we are custom builders, right? So every greenhouse is custom. Doesn't cost extra to do a lot of different things and to make your greenhouse unique. We can do things like custom roof slope to match the roof slope on your house or other outbuildings that you may have. vestibules, different glazing options to meet certain things. Maybe you don't want to see over here. We can put polycarbonate or an opal, something that you can't even see through over here, but the rest, a different glazing option. So really, there's quite a few different things that we can do.
Great. Thanks, guys. I did just get one question asking, is this being recorded? Yes, it's being recorded. We'll have it live next week on our YouTube channel, which Daniel helpfully plugged earlier in the installation question. I do have a couple of others teed up for you guys. So what are some of the main accessories I should plan to get with my greenhouse?
Jen already jumped on this with some of the accessories, but when she mentioned heating and cooling, so I wanna come in from the Charlie's point of view. So besides the greenhouses that we're already building with exhaust fans that we can add, roof vents, side vents that we can add that Jen's talking about, and some of those built-in heaters, circulating fans, and I see Katie added a link to it on this chat. Circulation fan is, in my opinion, the most important accessory that you can get for your greenhouse. It should be running 24/7. Anytime you have plants growing in your greenhouse, have that circulating fan going. So that's important. And then I'll let other people talk too, but we want to make sure the greenhouse is going to perform for you in terms of heating, cooling, manage those expectations. Otherwise, it's a blank slate that you can fill out with benches and planting boxes and do trial and error and have tons of fun with it.
And just a little add note that someone was talking about condensation, how you get rid of that. Kyle just mentioned circulating fans, which is one of the most important things to reduce any condensation in a greenhouse is to the circulating fans, what they do is actually even out your temperatures in your greenhouse. So you have consistent temperatures lower and higher in your greenhouse. So that way it really reduces a lot of condensation.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I also want to plug that Charlie's Greenhouse and Garden Supplies has an amazing accessory store for your greenhouse.
Mhm.
So feel free to check that out at shop.charliesgreenhouses.com. It's currently just for US customers. We will, within the next few months, have that active for Canadian customers as well. So the next question I have is, we have a lot of sun exposure. Do you offer any solid roof panels? So not all clear panels.
I'm happy to talk a little bit about that. For sure, we do offer numerous different polycarbonate options. Some of them are tinted. We have opal. So those are things that you may want to consider. That said, maybe not ideal for growing, depending on what your use case is, what you're trying to do. Our 5-wall polycarbonate is a really good option in some ways, in that it will not only insulate, but it does diffuse light rays quite a bit, and actually blocks about 40% of the light that's coming through. And so we find that depending on light exposure and where you are, you may not actually even need a shade cloth if you have a 5-wall polycarbonate. But for sure, shade cloth is a very common accessory that we recommend on many greenhouses, and that is usually the first go-to if somebody's talking about heat and controlling heat. I would definitely recommend considering a shade cloth.
Awesome. Yeah. And Katie just plugged into the chat a link to our shade cloth options as well. So thanks, Katie. How can I keep cost minimized with a greenhouse if you're on a budget?
I can answer that question. So for the greenhouse itself, we do offer a variety of feature value models. These are some of our most popular greenhouses, and in some cases they're built in volume, so they come at a really great cost savings. We also have our sale happening right now, so that's also a really great opportunity for cost savings. And then if you're looking for accessories, really prioritizing the most important ones for your greenhouse. So as mentioned, the circulating fan is going to be the most important thing. You could even use a circulating fan at home if you have one. That's a really great solution for that. And those would be the biggest things to consider.
Awesome. Okay. I got a direct message question asking about what the difference is between wood greenhouses versus aluminum greenhouses. At BCG, we only have carried the aluminum greenhouses at the moment, but at Charlie's, you guys do have additional wood options as well. So I'd like to hear the comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a lot of it is preference. I mean, of course, aluminum will not degrade over time. This is something that will last for a lifetime, for generations, as Kyle mentioned earlier. Wood, naturally, it is a natural product, so eventually you will, have some degradation. But our cedar greenhouses are made of the highest quality red cedar, and so um, really you're getting at least 30 years out of these greenhouses before you see any issues with the wood. And so many times it's really not an issue. But that is really the main thing. Of course, a lot of people go with wood over aluminum just because of preference. But I think the main thing is maintenance. Our aluminum frames are maintenance free. The wood frames, you will want to maintain them and keep them clean and just kind of, keep after them.
Yeah, and one thing that we do offer in the greenhouses are the wood greenhouses, especially are built to order. So you can get staining done before you get the greenhouse to help
Mhm.
with the protection of the wood as well.
Yep.
Um, can you guys speak to the sales process and how long everything takes? What's our current lead times?
I can answer that. So for a lot of our projects right now, we are looking at a 6-week lead time plus shipping.
Awesome. And then your sales process, typically,
Yeah.
how long is that taking you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
that's definitely going to vary depending on project and whether or not you need things like engineered drawings. That's also going to affect your lead times. Um, it's very project specific though.
What's usually the first step? Like, how are you getting in contact with someone?
Absolutely. So giving us a call is always a great place to start. If you're on our website, we do have a live chat feature, so you can contact us directly through there. Or if you see a greenhouse on our website that you like, you can click on it and request a quote. All of those ways are really great ways to contact us. Um, yeah.
Uh,
If I
just
may, oh,
just to add a little bit to that, is that we work closely with our customers to basically design a greenhouse that's going to allow you to do whatever you want in that greenhouse, what type of growing that you would want to do. We work through with the type of glazing, type of style and design that you want with the greenhouse. Once we're down and basically to exactly what you want, to order the greenhouse from us, we ask for a 25% deposit to secure the greenhouse in and schedule it in our production facility. And as Jennifer said, yeah, anywhere from, depending on the size of greenhouse, anywhere 4 to 6 weeks. If it's a bigger greenhouse, of course, or a custom greenhouse may take longer.
We ha
Awesome.
we
Oh,
have
sorry.
some, yeah, sorry, some of our greenhouses are close to are ready to ship or close to ready to ship. So if you're on our Charlie's site, we do have some value models, the winter gardens that are in stock, almost ready to go. We might just have to pull some of the polycarbonate or glass together, depending on what you want. We can ship those very fast. And Jen was mentioning some of our value models earlier when we are talking about price sensitive things that are built in volume. Those are usually kept very close to being ready to ship, so within a week or so. And then if you look at some of our Meridian garden room greenhouses, the really beautiful ones that are monstrosities in people's estates, those can be years in the making, but we try and make it go as fast as we can.
Perfect. Thanks, guys, for all that input. One other thing that I wanted to bring up is we do have a first steps to buy ebook that might be handy for you if you're in the early stages of planning. It kind of helps you think through the process of everything that you would need to think of before you put that deposit down. So if you haven't checked it out, I would recommend doing that. Um, Foundations. Depending on what kind of greenhouse, what foundation do you guys recommend?
happy to take this one. Well, I kind of, to take a line from Kyle, I usually tell people if you're thinking about concrete, then that's the way to go. You really can't go wrong there. Even with a smaller greenhouse, the concrete foundation is a great option. It's kind of forever, and it's a nice thing to if you can afford it, if it's within the budget. If not, what I find is that foundation type is largely preference and budget dependent, basically determined by your budget and what kind of greenhouse you're getting now. So a smaller greenhouse, you can have more options. With a larger greenhouse, and depending on glazing size and the weight of the greenhouse, we would definitely recommend one foundation over the other. So larger, more complex, very heavy, concrete is definitely recommended. As you get a little bit smaller, you have a lot more options as far as pressure treated wood, concrete, just going around the perimeter, concrete, you could do a ped. So there are more options depending on the greenhouse that you're looking at.
All righty. Thanks, Daniel. Um, you guys mentioned economy and value models. What's the difference between those and your regular models, and which one do you recommend the most?
Jump in on that. So in terms of quality, whether you're buying one of our economy models or value models or a custom greenhouse, they're all going to be built to the same standard. Now, saying this, with our economy models, those are the ones that are built in volume. So, our Legacy and our Sunhaven. So those ones are, generally speaking, going to be the best price. With the value models, those ones are a lot more popular, and a lot of our products already come in those sizes. So for us, they're much easier to build, less labor involved, and that's why they're a little bit discounted compared to some of our other greenhouses. Now, saying this again, in terms of quality, they're all going to be the same quality. It's really how custom you want to go with the project.
And if I may add something to
Mhm.
that, sorry, Hannah.
You're fine.
If you've got our catalog, I would recommend going all the way to the back. You will find some charts in there that'll have pricing, and you'll see some highlighted lines. Those are going to be feature models. So there's a difference between our economy models and our feature models. As Jen mentioned, our economy models are built in scale. So our Sunhaven, Legacy, Parkside, and Westgrove. You will get really good value there, and they will ship faster than our other custom greenhouses. But our feature models, which are 8 by 12s, 12/16s, you will see them highlighted in there. Really good value, and it's not an economy model, but you will get really good value per square foot for your money with those models in particular.
Awesome. Another thing that I want to know, if you're someone that's just like looking to start with your greenhouse and are considering an economy model, another great option is through Charlie's, the Victory Upright Cold Frame, which is a cedar standing cold frame that's essentially like a mini greenhouse. If you're looking to test the waters, that might be a good option for you. Another question I have here is, how do you find out your local wind and snow loads?
I can answer that. So the best thing to do is reach out to your local planning department. They are going to have the most up-to-date records for your area. It's something that we can also look into with our team here, but your local planning department will have the most accurate information.
For
Perfect.
sure.
Thanks, Jen. Oh, sorry, Daniel, if you have anything
No,
else to
no,
add. I'm sorry, I keep
no. I mean,
interrupting you
I'm
guys.
sorry. I've always got something to add, so I apologize. I'm trying not to. But yeah, on any greenhouses over 8 by 12, we do put on the quotes. Um, we have some tools that will estimate and to the best of our ability without actually communicating with the local building department what should be somewhat accurate. So it's not 100%. We would always say you should still, for sure, if you're going to move forward with these things, you absolutely want to consult with your building department to find out what requirements they may have in order to build this structure. But we do our best to estimate using the tools available to us, and we are usually fairly accurate.
Thanks, Daniel. Okay. One of the one of the questions I have here is, how do our product compare to different options, potentially a UK option, if you will.
I can jump in
Oh,
on
oh, you can jump in on it, Kyle.
Um, so we also we pride ourselves on building really beautiful greenhouses, but we take also our roots are taking extra care in greenhouses that perform. So we really care about people's gardening success in our greenhouses. So when we're talking about things like ventilation and heating and different insulating values of our glazing materials, having a beautiful greenhouse is super important, but we also want to make sure that we're matching the right glazing, the right heating, the right cooling to suit the customer's needs. So these are things that we try and set ourselves apart. We want to know what you're doing in the greenhouse in winter and summertime and make sure we're setting you up for success. So you don't have greenhouses dying twice a year or plants dying twice a year and getting angry or frustrated. And so these are things that set ourselves apart. We also being builders and into the structure of things, our greenhouses are designed by Red Seal journeyman glazers over the last 74 years, next year 75 years. And so things like that, we care about weather seals, we care about water, we care about condensation, where condensation goes in the greenhouse, how it expels out the greenhouse. Making sure that you're not seeing daylight. The greenhouses are really well weather sealed. So when you're adding heat to the greenhouse, you're not heating the outside in wintertime. So these are things that set ourselves apart. We care about snow loads and wind loads and seismic. So we're caring about the structure of our greenhouses for all across North America and the world. But what you care about is not that stuff. You care about hanging baskets and loading it up with shelves and benches and relying on that structure to carry all of the equipment. Lights, ceiling fans, watering systems, misting systems, be able to hang that stuff from our frames. We design them really strong for that. Obviously, we're caring about wind and snow, but you're caring about what you're going to do in the greenhouse. And so that's important to us. And I think that's a big part of what sets us apart. We can do beautiful greenhouses. We care about that, but they have to work.
That was awesome, Kyle. Thanks for that one. I got another question in from private message. Uh, I've been looking online and debating between a Legacy and Sunhaven. I'm struggling to find what the difference is. Can you guys explain?
Yeah, that's an easy one. Well, Sunhaven is an 8x8 traditional slope, so that's a 5/12. And it is an all twin wall polycarbonate. So your walls and roof will be twin wall polycarbonate, whereas the Legacy, um, well, same slope, same size, comes in brown, and you will have glass on the walls and polycarbonate on the roof. That is the main difference.
Yeah, they're both great 8x8 options. Another thing that you guys should know is the prices for those are actually going to be going up at the end of the year. We did have a price increase previously, and we've tried to keep these ones low. They've been at the same price for the last few years now, and so get your orders in on those if you're interested. Another great option also is the Westgrove. Do you guys want to talk about that option a bit too? Because that's another great economy option.
I'll take it. Sure. I love the West Grove. Honestly, it's I push that model quite a bit. I think it's really great for many different scenarios. One, it's our cottage roof slope, which is an 8.5/12. That will be sufficient in most climates to shed snow. So it's a really good model for that. Of course, you're gonna get more roof height than our traditional slope because you're gonna have a more peaked steeper roof slope, steeper peak equals a higher ridge beam, which is really nice for taller people, or if you want to hang hanging baskets, things like that. Especially if you're not going to be putting your greenhouse on a knee wall or pony wall of something, so it gives you a little bit extra height. Also, fantastic value for the size. Really, it's a good, nice 8x12. It's a really great It's a really great model, great size. Comes in black, which for most other models is an upgrade. And so, yeah, depending on what you're looking for, that may just be the perfect model for you.
I would add on the West Grove versus the Sunhaven or the Legacy. Being the 8 by 12 size, a lot of jurisdictions, we're BC Greenhouse, so we're in BC, but there's lots of municipalities, suburban areas where the largest greenhouse you can have before needing a building permit is 8 by 12. And so 8 feet by 12 feet. So the 8 by 12 greenhouse is actually our most popular size for that reason, as big as you can get without having to jump through some hoops.
And the Westgrove is actually our best priced option at that size at 8,895. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you're really looking for that side, that's a great option for it being permit free as well. So the next question I have for you guys, can your greenhouses be designed to create two spaces for plants with different heating needs? An interior wall?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit on that. Absolutely, our greenhouse. We have what we call a partition wall that we can actually separate two zones in our greenhouses. That will allow you to operate, let's say, a tropical zone and a cold zone. So yes, 100%. We can put up partition walls. We've done it many times with our customers to have two different types of growing areas.
Awesome.
Thanks, Wayne. Wayne, I would like that's it. Comes ready-made, built that way with an extra door, wall door inside. We love doing that, like Wayne's saying. Also, from a budget standpoint, if you don't want to start that way, we can also suggest dropping a thick poly film down partway in your greenhouse. And that's kind of a budget way of doing exactly what Wayne said, having that partition wall. So if you don't want to have it built that way, or you already have a greenhouse and you want to add something after, you can add that partition with a plastic film and do exactly what Wayne's saying.
Awesome. Okay, I have another foundation question. Um, we talked earlier on what material might be the best for a foundation. This question is more of a what do you recommend for building the foundation question?
You want to
Well,
elaborate on that?
yep, please.
No, I'm just saying one ladder. Yeah, the foundations, again, I think Daniel, if you weren't listening or on earlier, Daniel elaborated on the foundations. It really all depends on a couple things. One, the size of greenhouse, which of course would dictate the weight of the greenhouse. Would and as you get bigger in the greenhouse and the weight gets heavier, of course, you may have to go to a concrete foundation. And it also, depends on if you need it engineered and permitting, building permit from your city. So there's a lot of different factors involved. A wood foundation, the most common, let's say for an 8 by 12 greenhouse, is a wood perimeter foundation, either pressure treated wood or cedar. You would put either pier blocks on your corners, which will get down to most frost lines on the pier blocks, but it's an easy way to auger in holes in the corners, put in your pier blocks, and then put on your pressure treated wood or cedar. Another way Daniel suggested earlier is also to use sonotubes for those areas instead of pier blocks. Gravel on the inside, a weed screen on the bottom, crushed gravel on the inside, and pavers for walking through would usually be the less expensive way to go with a foundation. And yeah, and honestly, the best option that most people go with.
Awesome. Another thing that I want to recommend for everyone is the foundation guide that we have at BCG. It's a great tool for trying to figure out what foundation would work best for you. And then the other thing that I would recommend is making sure that your foundation is level and square. Otherwise, you're going to have trouble fitting your door into the greenhouse once it's built. So that should be the first thing you do before you even I get started on actually picking up a screwdriver or anything.
And we're here to add to that. We're here all the time. Call in. We'll be happy to talk to you about all the foundations that you could have and what's best for your greenhouse.
If
So
if
we can
you're
also,
sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you're hiring a builder to do a concrete foundation, I know our team loves jumping on a call with you and your builder to talk about exactly what Hannah's talking about, which is letting them know how important level and square is, and to explain what our tolerances are on the phone with you on that call as well. It's not hard to get right, but it can go wrong. So we just want to get it there and help be a voice for how precise it has to be. It is glass and aluminum or glass and wood, so there isn't a lot of play. There's some. We don't want the builders to know that, but like Hannah says, the more effort and time you put in to your foundation to get as precise as you can, the easier and more enjoyable your greenhouse installation will be.
One more
Awesome.
thing to add to
Sorry,
that.
Jen.
Oh, yes. We can also provide you with things like a foundation drawing that shows the minimum thickness required for your foundation and where the door opening is going to be located. So all of those resources are really helpful when it comes time for planning for your foundation.
Awesome. Okay, I have another question. I live in Florida. I'm considering a greenhouse, but I'm worried about it being too hot. What do you recommend?
I can answer that. Yeah, Florida is a great place for being hot for sure. I would definitely recommend number one is probably getting a polycarbonate, which will reduce sunlight transmission, which will really help in heat. To it helps with shading the greenhouse. I would also recommend putting up a shade system as well. If it's a shade cloth or an internal shade system, would be necessary, I think. But it really all depends what you're growing. There's a lot of things that like heat, such as tomatoes. I'm not a huge gardener, but we know a lot about from customers, a lot about what you need to grow. But yeah, there are a lot of plants that like a lot of heat. One thing nice about having a greenhouse, even in a very hot climate like Florida, is that you can control the heat in there. So we have exhaust fan systems, circulating fans, that type of thing that can actually monitor your heat and keep it at a certain temperature so that you don't have to worry about it. So we do have all the types of equipment that necessary to have a controlled environment, no matter where you're living in a cold environment or a very hot environment.
Just to add to Wayne, the polycarbonate's great. If you don't love the look of polycarbonate, you want that more natural look. In a very hot climate, same as a very cold climate. So you can get our low E insulated glass. So we have insulated glass greenhouses, but if you add the low E, it's like very similar to windows you'd be buying for your home to reduce the heat, the solar radiation that's coming in. It still lets in more than enough light for active growing. So that's a great way to help cool. The other thing is if you want this greenhouse to be, which is very common now, growing space and living space, and you are in the southeast, which is very hot and also very humid, we normally don't recommend actual air conditionings or heat pumps, like things that are going to be active air conditioning, which reduces moisture in the greenhouse. We typically don't recommend that for greenhouses. But actually in the southeast, it's okay. You have more than enough humidity typically when it's that hot. So, and if you want to be comfortable for yourself and your plants, adding an air conditioning unit for Florida is great. Any other hot climates, if you're in the southwest, then we would recommend evaporative coolers that we supply them, or you can source them. They cool by adding moisture, not as effective in Florida, but effective in more arid hot climates. But Florida, yeah, don't feel like you can't add an air conditioning unit, and just keep an eye on what the humidity is so you don't dry your plants out.
Great tips, guys. So I see that Daniel answered this question in chat, but in case people didn't see it, what special tools would you need to put the greenhouse together?
I'm happy to, since I posted that, I'm happy to just kind of go over it quickly, really. There are no special tools that you'll need. Pretty common stuff. So if you look in the chat, I did post a quick screenshot there, and this is coming straight out of our assembly guide. Tape measure, level, square, Robertson screwdriver and bit, utility knife, a cordless drill, caulking gun, a ladder, open-ended wrench, some of these things, a little squirt bottle with some soapy water. Really, most of these tools you may find in your garage or something that you would have had acquired over time if you have any tools at all. These are pretty much some of the more basic things. And so, yeah, there really are no special tools that you'll need.
Cool. All right, thanks, guys. What are the differences between your glazing options? Um, 3 millimeter single glass versus 6 millimeters, sorry, millimeters single glass. And what are some of the different polycarbonate options?
Can jump in on that there. So with the 3 millimeter single glass, they are smaller overlapping panels of glass. So this is really great because it makes installation very simple. And because they overlap in the rare event of breakage, it's very easy to replace the one panel. With the 6 millimeter single glass, on the other hand, it is one solid pane of glass. Visually, this looks beautiful, and because it's twice as thick, it's a little bit more insulating. We also offer a double glass option. This is going to be the most insulating glass option. And within the double glass, we can offer things like a low E option or laminated options as well to really meet your needs. The polycarbonate, on the other hand, we offer twin wall and 5-wall polycarbonate. Both of these are going to be great for energy efficiency, but the 5-wall polycarbonate will be the most insulated.
Great. Okay. So I would like to put out a last call for any other questions that people may have. We recommend putting them in the chat here. Happy to stay on a little bit longer, but we've kind of run through the gamut here. I guess one question that I have for our sales team is if you could purchase one of our greenhouses, what would you end up doing?
Hmm.
Like the type of greenhouse?
Yeah, what would you get? What would you put in your yard, Wayne?
If I had unlimited funds, I would go for a Meridian. But anyways, no. I would love to have in my backyard just an little 8 by 12. Unfortunately, I live in a condominium. I can't do that. But my future is having a backyard soon. And I would love to have an 8 by 12 greenhouse. Actually, Parkside would probably be my preference. Yeah.
Jen?
Because they're beautiful.
So there are two that I love. So one is a Legacy, and I'm a little biased because my mom has one and she's in there every single day. It's a great 8x8 structure. There's so much you can do with it. The other one I really like is the Hendrick edition. It features a nice vestibule, which is a really great entryway, and it's such a versatile space. You know, there's enough room to put a small seating area or grow plants, so the possibilities are endless.
Yeah,
Daniel?
absolutely. I think we all would love a nice, beautiful Meridian in our backyard. And so, sure, if funds were unlimited, absolutely. I would have a nice, big, beautiful, maybe gable attached Meridian greenhouse, maybe even put a pool in there. But uh, to be a little bit more realistic for what my budget is, yeah, I would go with Wayne. A nice 8 by 12 is really pretty sufficient for most hobby gardenists and actually I went to school for horticulture. That would be sufficient for me. You can really pack quite a bit into a greenhouse that's 8 by 12, especially because of our bolt track system, which is on every glazing bar. You can put shelving of any kind on there. Hanging baskets are very easy um, to use, and so really I find that 8 by 12 is pretty sufficient for most people. Um, you could, of course, everybody would like to go a little bit bigger though, right?
And Kyle?
Ange, can you guess what my favorite is? I bet she can.
Yeah.
Mine's gonna be, this is gonna break away from everybody else. I'm old school. I've been doing this for a long time. Back in the early 2000s, we came out with our anniversary greenhouse in 2001. It was our 50-year anniversary, and it was a curved twin wall polycarbonate greenhouse. We were able to offer it in green, but I like white. It's kind of the classic as well. And a curved twin wall polycarbonate greenhouse specific. It is not design favor these days, and like let's throw back to the 80s and 90s. But it's such a simple greenhouse. There's less pieces. It's super efficient for insulating, easy to clean, easy to maintain. Not that there's a lot to it, it's just more of a cleaning thing. And it's super efficient, being all twin wall polycarbonate. It doesn't heat up really fast in the morning. It doesn't cool off really fast at night. And it's just a great growing environment. So for people that are purists and really care about their plants, it's a super greenhouse for that, and strong, durable, last forever.
Actually, and
Awesome.
I believe that that model is uh, the best value per square foot that we offer.
Pacific, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
I agree with you. Who posted a 12 by 20? Because I love that.
That's me. Oh,
That's
the
That is
girl's
my
got a
favorite.
dream.
Yeah, I know. That's why
Yeah,
I had unlimited.
yeah. For me, I actually think it's one of Charlie's greenhouses, the Alpine Cedar
Mhm.
greenhouse. That's a
Yep.
great one. It's the best insulated cedar greenhouse on the market today. So if you're living in like the Pacific Northwest or in like the Northeast of the US, it's a great option, and it's made with premium red cedar, so you can't really go wrong with it. And it includes the exhaust fan, which is awesome for the summer.
Now I have
Um,
to jump in about the cedar. I'm sorry. I just got to say one thing that really sets our cedar greenhouses apart from others is that for the alpine greenhouses, those walls are actually insulated on the inside. So it's not just like a single piece of wood or a veneer. You're going to have wood on both sides with an insulating panel on the inside, which is really going to keep that heat inside.
yeah, it's definitely a great option if you live in a colder climate and are looking to really get your growing season extended or to even grow through the winter.
Nice.
Um, all right, everyone. We appreciate your time with us. If you have any questions, here's some contact information for you for BC Greenhouse Builders here in BC, Canada, as well as we have a showroom down in Mount Vernon, Washington State, where they actually do have different models that you can walk into so you can see some of these models that we were talking about today. So we appreciate your time. Let us feel free to reach out anytime.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.